I don't believe it. That's Clone Force 99.
This is Wrecker, Hunter, Echo, Tech, and Crosshair.
Obviously, we are different.
We're all you're getting.
Ha! We're all you need!
They call themselves the Bad Batch. Experimental Unit Clone Force 99. The defective clones with desirable mutations.
This is one meeting I don't want to miss.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Dad Batch Podcast, episode 31. My name is Steven Schultz, and I am your host in the pilot seat today. And you know I can't do it alone. With us, as always, the other Dad Batchers, your space daddies. He's our resident tech. It's Joe Lara. How are you, buddy?
Doing great, man. Doing great. The weekend was fun because I got to hang out with one of the makers down in my garrison. So Imperial Sands Garrison is down here in San Diego. Kind of goes up maybe like Murrieta. That's kind of where it kind of, SoCal desert area. Then it pours into LA and you guys. But lucky to have David Neth. We've talked about him. He makes these amazing stands. The metal stands, he's donated one to all of us, or given, he's hooked us up with these amazing stands for our Bad Batch helmets. But he's there it is. Ramey's holding it up right there for those that can see. It's like the Skull 99. It's with the leather, dude. It's epic. It's beautiful work. But David is freaking talented. It basically, I think if we can clone Ramey, he would be CT0001 or something. I don't know. He'd be that guy based off of Ramey because he's like the first at everything he does is like almost perfect. It's crazy good. So he's making a Cad Bane Bad Batch version. If you saw Cad Bane, if you remember Cad Bane in season 1, when him and Hunter had this really cool duel, kind of reminiscent of what we thought would maybe be Boba. Those
when he totally kicks Hunter's butt.
Dude.
Yeah, he needs redemption.
I don't know if he's going to get it, but anyways, he's making not only the armor but also pouring a latex mask. He's trying to make a mask. It's so good, but to make the mask you have to sculpt. So he's sculpting for the first time, then making the mold, and then making the mask. And he's doing it all from scratch, from nothing, with no background experience, mind you. So he calls me up saying, dude, let's get together. I need some help. I'm like, how can I help you? Yeah. Dude, you need to help me. And he's like, I just wanted some help and just some ideas on animated paint. And I'm like, dude, that's like one of the easiest things you could do. Animation paint is ridiculously easy compared to what you guys do. And, but it was cool to hang out, see him. He gave me this really cool sticker. He has a Boba, which is amazing, but he's also all in on this Cad Bane. So he invested in that really cool logo. Really cool to see. And then also David Ryan. He's another really great maker down here in Imperial Sands. Has just a great customer, really good at sewing, and he just invested in this really crazy sewing machine. So that's just got me excited. Long story short, I was super hyped to hang with these guys, and it just fuels me to keep going. I think it's that was kind of the essence of the weekend. So, and then my older son's in town, so that's fun too.
Nice, dude. You had like your own little mini workbench session over the weekend, and yeah. I've seen some of David's. I've been following his progress on that Cad Bane, and when he was like 3D printing the armor and then casting that in rubber, I was like, oh, that's cool. I've seen that before. That's really cool that it's his first time doing it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't want to say I was dismissive of it, but it's nothing new that I haven't seen. But then when I saw him sculpting the Cad Bane out of clay, yeah. I was like, oh crap, this is talent right here. This is someone to watch. And he's just been, every move that he's been making, he's been surprising me. I was one of those people that got a little scared from his post today when he was talking about how like he was demolding it, taking out all the clay. And he's like, And he's all, and did I mess up the mold? ... And then the next thing was like, nope, psych, it's perfect. I was like, oh, thank goodness. But yeah,
he's so good, you almost hate him, but he's so nice, you can't. Like, you know what I mean? He's just such a good dude. Great, beautiful wife, great personality, great couple.
Is he coming into London?
Yeah, him and his wife Alex are coming out to London, so super excited to hang.
Nice.
And what I want to see is a great photo shoot with Hunter and him. Like,
yeah, we get to see the rematch.
I want to see the rematch, but live, and and we'll see what happens. We could do multiple versions, John. We could make it, the what if version maybe for you to make you happy, but
Bananas in the holsters.
Yeah.
Season's not over. We could see Cad Bane before the end of the season.
That's true.
Never know.
I'm telling you,
Maybe
man, it's gonna happen.
Maybe he's the one. Cad and Boba come scoop up Omega. You know him as Echo. It's Rami Shanaday. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking.
Your scenery is different.
Yes, I am. This is my first episode recording in the new studio. I'm totally digging it. Shout out to my wife, Georgie, who has been busting her butt nonstop helping me. She painted the walls in here like overnight one evening, and she like scrubbed the garage floors like by hand on her hands and knees. And yeah, I was just like, okay,
wow.
You're crazy, but I love you.
Damn.
Yeah. So for our listeners, Steven's got a new studio in his garage, and he was showing us before, and it's like, it's full on sound booth. Like there's the acoustic foam on all the walls, and it's like shelving and lighting and everything. I think you're going to try and outdo D. Bradley Baker with his setup.
Well, once all my LEDs are in, we'll see.
And then I see the stained glass piece showcased behind you. So.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna try and make. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shelves behind me, and I want to kind of do one shelf like as a theme. So for the bottom shelf that the listeners and the watchers can see behind me, I kind of want to make that the shelf of all of our Dad Batch approved listener affiliates. Pieces of Melee and Amber, they make the stained glass pieces. David makes the helmet stands. Just stuff like that. I want to put that stuff behind me and kind of showcase it every week and rotate it in and out. So.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
But what's up, man? How are you? How's the family?
I'm good. Everybody's good. I'm the only one home, and they're all off working on stuff that they can't talk about.
Dude, hold on. Rami Shanaday, he's got so many NDAs. His family has NDAs.
Yep.
They finally just made me sign a blanket one. I don't know that I have to sign. I don't know that I have to sign one anymore after this.
An umbrella.
Yeah.
Umbrella NDA.
So they're down in South here working on stuff, and they'll be gone all weekend. I'll be gone all weekend. Coincidentally enough, I will be trooping in the Imperial Sands Garrison on Saturday. So I don't think you're making it out for this one, Joe, but I'm sorry I'm going to miss you. But there's a big air show at the El Centro Air Base out there every year. And I've done this event before, and it's like sometimes it's been so hot that we had troopers literally like pass out with a heat stroke. But then I think the weather's looking perfect this year. So and they're hooking us up. Like we're going to be staying on the base overnight, and like it's going to be they're rolling out the red carpet. It's going to be great. We've got a big contingent of folks from Southern California Garrison coming down there to troop with Imperial Sands. So
that should be
it used to all be one garrison. Like shortly before I joined years and years ago, what was originally the San Diego squad broke off and became the Imperial Sands Garrison. So prior to that, it was all part of SCG. I can never
refer to it as Imperial Sands. Every time I refer to it in my mind, it's always San Diego squad. And then I blank out when I'm trying to remember not to say that, but to say Imperial Sands Garrison.
Yeah. I think it's been a minute since all that happened. So I think all that's ancient history now. I've also got, I picked these up. I was thinking of you, Joe. It's Sour Patch Bunnies.
Bunnies. Ooh.
So the flavors and everything, like they taste just like normal Sour Patch Kids. So there's nothing unique as far as
taste like rabbits.
They don't taste
marshmallows.
They don't taste like bunnies. I was disappointed in that. They just taste like normal Sour Patch Kids, but they're shaped like bunnies, so that's kind of cool.
You guys have had a rabbit before. I've had a rabbit's actually not bad. Pretty good. Kinda tastes
Rabbit stew.
Yeah. All right.
Shh. Quiet. You guys smell that? It's Hunter. John Rodriguez. How are you, man?
Good. Weird.
I was channeling my inner Hunter.
And here I thought it was Ray from Ghostbusters. Listen, you smell that?
Like, where's he going with that?
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm all right. I've been playing a little bit of.
You look like 10 pounds lighter, bro. You got rid of some facial hair.
Well, yeah, I got rid of the gigantic creature that was on my face.
Dude, that was like 10 pounds.
Yeah,
you look like you're
it was a
20.
big one.
You look like you're 24 again.
Yeah, you definitely went back in time.
Yeah, and the hair's different too. Everything.
Okay, so
I'm like,
I'm assuming because you shaved, the day job that you can't talk about yet is over, right?
My portion is, yeah.
Okay, and then so now you're back to helmets and your regular 9 to 5.
Yep.
Okay.
For now, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, there's gonna be a big old switcheroo soon.
Is that the plan?
But yeah, good. Yeah. I think I want to do the background stuff full time. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it has been so far, and and my regular job is not very fun at all.
Well,
So whatever.
Whose is, right? But you know what? I mean, that's pretty awesome, man. Like, you are following a dream that thousands, if not millions, have had to come to LA and pursue the whole acting thing, and for you, it's kind of just happening, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's something I've thought about for a long time, but never pulled the trigger on. And I feel like a little bit like the years have sort of passed by, and I'm getting a little old. So maybe, if not now, then when? And I know Ramey's laughing, getting old, whatever.
Thanks,
but I no, I didn't mean it like that. You guys are not old, you know what I mean. I feel
You're the youngest one in here. You know that, right?
I'm older than you, aren't I?
By like a day.
Only, barely.
Hey,
Barely.
an inch or a mile, a win's a win. Anyway, but yeah. What was I saying?
You're working.
But yeah, I'm all right. Yeah. But yeah, whatever. The background stuff's awesome, and the helmet stuff's always awesome too. Got a few in here that I'm looking at. But yeah.
Right on, dude. Well, whatever it is, I'm sure your autograph's going to be worth something one day. So just keep signing those things for me so I can put it in storage.
Yep.
Right.
Let's see. Next up, we have Brian Cook, who's not here presently, but he promised that he was going to drop by in the show later for probably our episode review, but we'll see about that.
We shall see.
Other than that, thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. If you'd like to rep your support for the show, pick up one of our new t-shirts or hoodies at thedadbatch.com.
This garbage is nothing like clone armor.
Looks a little tight on you, old man.
Yeah, at least I know how to wear it.
That's right, everybody. It's time for the weekly Workbench. All right, gentlemen, who is working on what?
John, you got your belt, right?
That's right.
I sure did. The belt came in for my hunter costume from Corollian Dry Goods. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. I've always wanted a belt rig from him, but I've never had a costume that needed one. Like, I'm never doing a Han Solo as far as I know.
Is he in Florida? Where's he at?
No, I think he's in the Midwest.
Oh,
somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah. But I remember looking at it, but I don't remember now. But I think he's somewhere in the Midwest. But yeah, so that came in, so I was able to sort of start mapping stuff out. I attached the side pieces that go, under the belt and stuff, and as far as I've got the costume right now, there's still so much to go because fitment and certain things being on a suit that's not very stiff. It's not like a Mandalorian, the fabric that's super thick and stiff. It's just like a work onesie. I don't know what they call them.
Jumpsuit.
It's just a jumpsuit.
Coveralls.
Yeah.
Coveralls.
Yeah, coveralls.
It's a onesie.
It's a onesie.
A onesie.
With built-in feet.
But yeah.
Hunter's
So
onesie.
there's some challenges. Yeah,
And a bunny
trying to figure it
tail.
out. But yeah, there's a couple things I'm trying to figure out, but it should be doable in time to make it to London.
John, do you know how to sew?
I can hand sew a little bit, like hand stitch certain things, but not like I wouldn't want to do that to like Velcro on pants or something.
So like for any of your soft good needs, you have to go to like Remy
Someone,
or
yeah,
to somebody. Okay.
yeah, essentially. But I return the favor if possible by painting stuff for them if they need it.
Painting, printing, making. Yeah.
Or pay them, whatever, if possible.
We might need to set up one more like last ditch
One last-
sewing day here or something.
Well, I have Kiefer coming over on Friday, and he said he's going to bring his sewing machine. He's like, do you need me to sew those? I'm like, dude, if you could.
There you go.
So shout out to Kiefer for offering and doing that in the future.
Nice.
But yeah. But if I can get that, I'll attach those, and so those won't move anymore. It feels a little weird. The costume, it doesn't feel quite right.
It doesn't feel like a clone.
Definitely not.
It shouldn't. Should it?
Well,
I mean-
it doesn't feel like a clone, and it doesn't feel like a Mando. It feels like something I've never.
Something else, dude.
Yeah, it's something totally not normal.
It feels wrong almost, but
It does.
Not like I shouldn't do this. It just feels like this. I don't know. It should be different. It feels like it should be different. I don't know.
You know what?
weird.
I guess so. When those that don't know, that have never put on, I guess, like Star Wars
Clone armor? Yeah.
There's certain things that are expected. Like if it's going to be like a soldier of some sort, so you're going to have like thighs, shins, a chest, a back, and there's those elements in these season 2 costumes. But I think the only thing I can relate it to is I don't know if you guys cook or maybe you do projects at the house or whatever, but there's a point of no return where you go too far. Maybe it's like creating an ingredient or trying to figure out a recipe for something, and you just go too far and you keep adding stuff and you're like, what the hell am I making? I don't know if you ever experienced that, but that's almost like what it feels like to put this stuff on. There's so many layers of stuff, and you're like, wait, I should have stopped putting on things in this costume a long time ago. But
there's no blueprint either. There's no because a clone trooper, you can kind of assume like, okay, this goes here, obviously, and whatever. But for this costume, it's like you're guessing, like
100%
straight up,
guessing.
like like how to wear certain things and how to how to make things believable and not
because it's not just the
you know,
look, it's also the functionality of it. We need it to wear the thing,
yeah,
and it needs
at
to
minimum,
last. Yeah. It is a lot.
Has there ever been other costumes in Star Wars like ours, like canonically on screen, not like OC Mandos or anything, but
Maybe,
I guess not.
maybe some of the old legacy bounty hunters.
Or like maybe some of Saw Gerrera's partisans or like those,
Yeah.
like they're almost like denizen style costumes where
There
they're
you
just
go.
kit bashed from random things, like half TK and half soft goods kind of a thing.
but nothing that we've seen the costume clubs come up with.
No,
So I mean,
the denizens group is the closest thing.
this is kind of like all new territory. I mean, for us, I know it's new territory, but it might just be new territory for Star Wars costuming in general.
I think so.
A lot of guesswork.
Yep.
For me, John, were you done? Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
No, yeah, I'm good. I mean, didn't do much else.
Started painting the armor, and I feel good about this sizing. So tried it out without paint, then got some paint down. Haven't done any weathering at all. Just trying to figure out the rigging to it. And so I think with season 1 tech, there's some leather straps that kind of come down the front. Those are not on this kit at all, and I actually relied on those leather straps to hold certain pieces together. Now that those leather straps are no longer present, I have to come up with other solutions to hold my stuff together. And the last thing you want is to come up with a really good look, have it look decent, walk around, maybe do a troop, get to London, and things just fall apart and unravel. Like, that's the worst feeling. I think
when my codpiece fell off.
Your butt?
At San Diego.
Was it your butt that fell off?
No.
My butt and my codpiece fell off on the sidewalk on the way back to the hotel.
You were basically a clone Winnie the Pooh, just no pants at all.
I just picture you like, you know, like every parent's had that moment where like the kids like walking with the diaper down around their ankles, just kind of like baby stepping because they can't this is the picture in my head now. Thanks for that.
It wasn't a full diaper though, so it wasn't like hanging.
I think
it was just the pee. He was just kind of kicking them along.
Just
I
kicking
think
them
I
along.
told Brian's wife Tori if I remember asking her, "Can you hold my butt?" And then I handed it to her.
That's right. I forgot about that. We were like outside, right? It was at the end of the day though. I think it wasn't like.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it was. You're right.
That's funny.
It's funny.
So yeah, we're gonna have to do a test drive at WonderCon.
So that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So one of the things that I tried out too, I love the vest and the shirt that Raimi made. As I'm putting all these layers on, I'm looking at everything and I'm like, something doesn't look quite right. And so I tried. A typical clone has like a compression shirt. It's a little bit more tighter in compression. Tech has a similar type shirt. And so I tried just a solid gray compression shirt just to see the overall shape. And it looked better. It looked more fitting to the character. So now I'm I'm taking a lesson from Raimi. I actually got 2 white compression shirts and 2 gray compression shirts. I got 2 of each so I can mess with one and experiment with one before I go and do it hopefully right the first time on another set. But I need to get the stretchable thread, the thread that's made for that kind of stretchable material, and then buy the right needle. So I'm going to go to Joann's probably tomorrow, spend probably like $10 on some stuff and try to kind of, I'm serious. Like Raimi kind of helped me figure out. And so I got one of the shirts and totally undid it. And so now I have pieces of shirt kind of laid out as patterns, and I'm just going to kind of draw on it and try to reverse engineer this thing. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. We'll try.
If you don't get the thread that stretches, you can also do like a zigzag stitch that will have a little bit, that'll give you a little bit of give, even with normal thread.
Okay. I remember that setting. Okay, cool. I'll keep that in mind. But yeah. So I'm going to experiment. My sewing sucks, so I shouldn't even be trying this, but it's under so many layers. I think I can get away with it potentially. So there's a certain level where I'll be satisfied with. Definitely not for approval, but I'm trying to get to London right now. You know, approval is a different measure.
There's always super glue, man.
To my body.
We'll just super glue it to you. It'll be good.
Done that. So we did at Celebration last year.
Oh, you super glued parts to your head.
Yeah, the little round sockets were we used Zap-A-Gap on my head.
Yikes!
We suffer for our craft.
They came off. It was fine.
I think you did that for your Darth Maul horns too, right?
I have super glued the Darth Maul horns on too, because that doggone cosmetic glue stuff just doesn't work great. I have some medical grade stuff now though, so I just couldn't find it for Celebration because we had just moved, but I know where it's at now. So. On my workbench, so been doing some sewing, although not for me. I made the red shirt that Omega wears. So we've been seeing pictures of the jacket that got made for Levi's Omega costume, and that came out amazing. I'm not as sophisticated. I made the shirt, which came out fine. So the red shirt that goes under that, and then the same fabric will be kind of the wrap on her arm, which I think a lot of people have said needs to just be considered some of Hunter's like headband kind of wrap.
Totally.
But then the other piece that I made, and there's pictures up on Instagram of this, is the poncho. So in the episode where they were on Coruscant and Omega was walking around with with Rio Chuchi, she had that poncho on, and so
Pink.
it's got like it's like blue and different shades of blue and pink, and there's gold details all on it and everything. So a couple weekends ago, I got the poncho itself made, and then this past weekend I spent all day Sunday hand painting the details onto that. And let me tell you, that took forever, and I'm still not done. So a lot of respect for folks that hand paint stuff, because that was a lot of work and no end in sight still. So got more to paint.
Welcome to hell.
It looked great, man. It was I love seeing the updates to that. And Brian was getting so excited with every time you showed progress on that.
Was that metallic gold paint that you were using?
Yes, it is.
Man, it looked good.
There's a little bit of glitter in the other colors too. So it really makes them bright, but yeah, the gold is very metallic. So, and it takes like 2 coats. So I kind of have to paint it and then go back over and and that's part of it. Like, I haven't gone back and done the second coat on a lot of it. So, but it worked out because, the animation stuff we were talking about, like kind of painting this animation stuff Joe said it's easy. I don't know that I'd say it's easy. It's just different. It's a technique. It's another technique. But the brush strokes work to your advantage with this animated style. So we've got, just to have that detail kind of and see the brush strokes and an extra little dark spot here or there, it works to the aesthetic. So it came out good.
I was going to say just real quick on the painting of animation. I don't want to say that it's too easy. I guess everything takes some sort of skill, but one of the best out there, anybody that's listening to this on Instagram, she goes by the name of Fives. On one of her story highlights, she painted a really great Rex clone, and but she has a tutorial in one of her highlights that's perfect. It's exactly how I learned how to paint clone. And there's a process with overspray and then sandpaper and whatnot. I think that's what gets me going. I learned that process with Waxer, and then with doing tech now, there's a lot more detail in this style of animation than there ever has been in the Clone Wars. Mm-hmm. And so we're having to now do brush strokes with actual paint and acrylics and do different things. But I think the base layer of clone animation is a really good place, is like the name of Five's Instagram. So anybody that follows her, check out one of her story highlights. I think it's the furthest one to the right. It's that's what I was showing David Meganeth. He was like, "Hey, how do I paint Cad Bane?" I'm like, "Dude, check out this highlight. Watch it, and then I'll come see you, and then we'll do it in person." So sorry, Remy, I didn't want to sidetrack too much.
That's okay. Yeah. The only other thing I was going to bring up on the Workbench, and I think I'm not the only one that has one of these to show, is this thing.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
So I know that at least a few of us got. So Eric Here's Pink Ceramics makes these
Here's
mugs.
Pink Ceramics.
And they're all handmade. They're all a little different, and he numbers them. And so I've got Season 2 Echo number 1 right here.
Where's your number?
Awesome. There is. I don't know.
Is it on?
It was.
Okay.
I don't have a number visible on the mug itself, but when I bought it, it says
right.
001. So
same.
Yeah.
This better be number 1.
There's like a little Bad Batch skull in the corner, and you can see Echo's visor and some of the details, and it's got the orange kind of lines around it. And then I shout out to him for knowing that in the extended Arabesh alphabet, the CH actually has its own character. So you can spell Echo with only 3 letters. So this, I'm holding it up to the camera right now, if you were to, like, the CH is very close to a K. So if you didn't know any better, it would look like EKO, which kind of works too, but that is actually a CH. So it's ECHO. So, and I think you guys should have your names on there too, right?
Same thing, Remy Tech.
Yeah, you've got the same thing. And so for the last character on yours, yeah.
Yepper.
Mine's just Hunter.
Yeah.
You could put Jawa juice in here. Remember we
exactly Jawa juice, calf, whatever your drink of choice. That's it.
Let's see. On my Workbench this week, I finished my studio, so that's off the list now. The printer room, the dirty lab, is good to go. Just got to clean the printers a little bit, and I can start printing this week. I ordered the brand new Hot Toys Wrecker and Tech from Sideshow today. I mean, I know it's not in my hands yet. It's probably not going to be in my hands until September of next year, but I'm just so excited for those. I had to say it. What did come in today, actually yesterday, but I unboxed it today. I ordered the Boba Fett helmet from EFX through Sideshow. It's the precision cast replica.
Oh man.
I have the Black Series Boba Fett Empire Strikes Back, and I always thought to myself like, that's good enough. And I mean, it is pretty good. It's an amazingly accurate helmet, especially for a toy.
Right.
But when compared to a precision cast replica, I mean, it just pales in comparison to it. The visor, for one thing, is like the Hasbro Black Series one. The visor it's much larger. I mean, it's not like Ragnar, like, you know, the whole face, but it is quite larger than the actual replica. The ear caps are die cast, I'm sorry, aluminum. The rangefinder is aluminum. The rangefinder topper is aluminum. The whole thing is just, it's beautiful. My only like gripe on it is the paint job, because, you know, Boba Fett, it's such a iconic and intricate paint job, but, you know, a company that's mass producing those helmets, they can't really do those paint jobs justice. So I'm thinking about getting it repainted. I don't know if there's anyone out there who would consider doing a repaint of a Boba Fett to a more accurate Boba Fett.
Okay, wait. How much did you pay for this? Dare I ask?
Okay, so the helmet itself normally is $400, which that's just the going rate for an EFX precision cast replica. But I actually got it when Sideshow was having like their Black Friday special, and I got it for half price. So, I mean, it's got electronics in it. It's obviously lineage from a screen used helmet. It's got the visor installed. So, yeah, and I know what you're getting at. I know you know where I'm going.
But if you got it for half price, honestly, that's what you would have paid for those raw parts anyway. So then to take that and turn around and repaint it, it's not like you're throwing money away. Yeah. I just like, if you paid so much for this thing, like, and then you're going to turn and repaint it, just sell it and go get the parts. Sell it and go get the parts. And then,
like I said,
but if you've got parts that are good, like if it's metal and everything's legit, then yeah, you're fine, because you're in the same price range that you would have been to just source those parts.
Right.
Honestly, probably better. It's probably a better deal than sourcing.
Even
by the time you get metal parts, yeah.
Even the rangefinder on it is the accurate. It's got the little micro switch on the bottom.
Yeah.
So that it only turns on when the antenna is fully down.
All the way down.
But it's good. So okay, now that the workshop and the studio are good to go, I've got no more excuses to work on anything else but Wrecker.
That's right.
So
yep.
Pressure's on for next week's Workbench. I won't let you guys down.
Full suit up for next week's Workbench, right?
Oh yeah.
Just live on the show. Y'all heard it here first.
Oh man,
my butt might drop, but yeah.
Just we need to poo it.
We're being hailed. This encryption's new. This might take a while.
Okay. A lot of Celebration news, which is a good thing since we've got Celebration coming right around the corner. Originally, somebody had like emailed customer support for Celebration asking about streaming, and like, would there be any, like, would people staying at home be able to stream? And the response they got back made it sound like the answer to that was no. The person who had originally shared that was kind of freaking out. I was like, just don't worry, like, but they just don't know any better. So we do have they've announced that there will be live streaming that will be coming from the show. They always stream like the big panels, the smaller stuff, maybe not so much. It's usually kind of spotty around, and they'll have like spot crews that'll run around the convention and will be filming things. And then they'll splice that in at various times to what's going on the like Star Wars live stage. That was the stage that was over by the Legion booths in Anaheim, for example. So we know that that'll be streaming, and that's actually it's like sponsored by the Jedi Survivor game. So I think that's kind of a media tie-in to the game itself. We're starting to get merch drops. So we've got every celebration, they do what they call the Road to Celebration, where they will release like a t-shirt and 3-pin set, for example, that's based off of whatever theme the show is. And so obviously with this is the anniversary of Return of the Jedi, so I'm pretty sure the theme is that. And we're actually seeing some of the merch lines up with that. So we've gotten a reveal of 3 different pin sets. My guess is there are shirts that go with these, but they haven't shown those yet. So we've got one pin set that's R2-D2, Leia, and Wicket from Return of the Jedi. Another pin set that is Cassian, B2 Emo, and Deidre. And then a third pin set that's the Armorer, Din, and Bo. So again, and those drop on Friday of this week. So anybody that's got a ticket to Celebration can go and sign in on their store once that drops, and you'd be able to buy this. And usually, like, we're super close, so usually this stuff kind of drops sooner so that you have it in hand. I don't know how they would do that this time around, but so I'm curious. I'll be keeping my eye on that because I don't know that I would trust them to ship anything fast enough at this point to get here before we leave.
Where's the Bad Batch pin set?
I'm sure they're like, you know how it goes. They like slowly reveal the less interesting ones early, and then like the big ones they reveal at the last minute. Yeah. That's why we don't have like, Mark Hamill and Daisy Ridley as announcements for autographs yet, because they save the best for last. So the Bad Batch will come out like, the day before the show starts.
John, did you ever get your Hunter pin from Celebration last year?
Nope.
It was delayed, right? Or no, they canceled it.
Yeah, they canceled it.
Oof. So they had a set that I think had Tech, Echo, and Wrecker, I want to say. And then I know Crosshair was a booth exclusive.
Which I got.
Oh, it was Hunter. It was Hunter and Omega were together.
No, someone said they were too white or something. It was something really, really stupid.
For the Hunter pin?
Yeah, their skin was too white.
So they canceled it.
All the other ones had helmets on. Did those ones not? I guess Crosshair doesn't have a helmet, I don't think.
I don't think Crosshair had one.
But they're... Yeah. I'm not going to get into it. But
well, I bet you they're going to sell it at the Celebration store this year. Because the Celebration always does that. Like, they always replenish the merch store with stuff they couldn't sell before.
Yeah. I got a bunch of Celebration 2022 merch that they just sold online because after it was all made, but by the time they had to cancel the show, they were like, well, what are we going to do with this stuff? So they just sold it. So we got some new guest announcements for Celebration. I think some of these are a couple weeks old. So if I repeat any that I had already said in previous weeks, forgive me, but we've got Michelle Ang. So Omega will be there. I got to look. Is there an official Michelle and D team up photo session yet? There's going to have to be if it's not there yet. Like that's, right. We got to go full costume, invade that picture, just all of us.
Yeah, we got to run right in through it.
D's going to be like, oh no, these guys again.
I think the show's popular enough. I think I was kind of concerned with season 1 that maybe it didn't land as well as maybe other shows, but I think there's a good following for it now, and it makes sense.
Yeah, well, we'll get there. I think that there's some good news there because when we'll get to that in a little bit when we start talking about the panel announcements that we got. But in addition to Michelle Ang, we've got Simon Cassianitis, who was Axe Woves. We got Warwick Davis, Annabelle Davis, who was Thromba, and Denise Gao, Deidre herself. So we've got those announcements on top of the ones that we already had. So those are going to be good. So I see it's just Emily25 in the live stream. She's like, I need the Deidre pin. Well, now you need the Deidre autograph too. So we've got panel announcements for the big stages. So we've got the Celebration Galaxy and Twins Sun stage announcements. And so I've got that on another window here. Okay. I'm not going to go through all of these. Obviously, there's some pretty big panels. Like they've got the Lucasfilm Studio Showcase. They've got a making of Andor season 1 panel. There's an Ahsoka panel. ILM, history of the return, 40 years of Return of the Jedi. So these are some of the bigger panels. We've got and this one's interesting. So on, what day is this one? On Saturday, on the Twin Suns stage, live from 2 to 3, there's a panel called Star Wars Creator Cosplay Workshop. So Shauna Tripsick and Maria Sandoval, who do the costuming and hair department stuff for The Mandalorian, they are actually judging the cosplay contest this year. And so prior to that is this panel, and so they're inviting cosplayers to come to this panel, and they say in here that they'll give you a tune-up before the big contest, but this would be an opportunity to meet those folks and hear how they work on the show. So that one might be interesting to a lot of our listeners. And then there's a 15-year anniversary panel for Clone Wars. Probably that's on the Galaxy stage, and that'll also be streamed to the Twin Sun stage. That's on at the end of the day on Saturday, and then on on Monday on the celebration stage, the biggest panel of each day is always like between 11 and 12 on that celebration stage. It's the first panel of each day. So Monday's big panel is Star Wars: The Bad Batch. So Amy Ratcliffe will be the host of that one, and we'll have the head writer, supervising director, executive producers, and Dee and Michelle will both be there. So that's the one that we got to try and invade.
We'll be there too. And we're going to expect all of our Dad Batch listeners to be there as well.
I am trying to work through official channels to actually coordinate like a big costume presence for that panel. So stay tuned. I'll keep everybody posted. And if it doesn't work out officially, we may just do it unofficially anyways and just show up. So it'll be very difficult to say no to an army of all those Bad Batch costumers at the front door of that panel. So
it's basically how we got in that panel last year, right?
Yeah.
We found our way on this.
Yeah.
Not just but on stage.
We're that. Yeah. Oh, that dude came right up to me. He's like, "Do you guys want to go up?" And I was like, "Yeah, we do." And he's like, "All right, let's go." I'm like, "All right, let's go."
This.
That was
nice.
it.
I mean, how can you tell us no?
Speaking of special guests,
Crosshair.
Brian, how long are you going to be with us? Do we want to talk about stuff that you want to talk about while you're here, or can you hang for a little bit?
Okay.
I got
time. Okay. I'm here.
All right, we'll keep going down. We'll keep going down the news. Got a little bit of Bad Batch merch. As Steven mentioned, he pre-ordered the Hot Toys Wrecker and Tech. Those are out now. So we officially have all 5 members of the Bad Batch. I guess 5 of the 6. We haven't seen an Omega yet. I could hope that
I want an Omega.
I know.
I want an Omega.
They should make it.
But it would be such a small figure that I would want to see it as a 2-pack. So maybe like
Omega and Gonki. An Omega and Gonki 2-pack.
Gonki.
Oh,
yes.
Gonki.
That just blew Steven's mind.
Oh my
What's
gosh.
the other droid? What about the
Take
other
my
droid?
money now, Hot Toys.
AZ.
What? Yeah, easy.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
would be
be all 3
season
of them.
1, so it would be probably AZ.
Dude, Gonki would be dope.
Gonki was around.
But I want Gonk too.
Gonk.
Is there a Gonki sideshow? I think that would go really well.
There is a Gonki. Hot Toys does make a Gonk droid, so they could just do a repaint of that. Be easy. I didn't look. Does Wrecker come with Lula?
No.
I'm out. Forget it.
I'll have to get one made or something.
I was
can't
gonna
sell
buy
that
it.
small.
I was gonna buy it for Lula and then just eBay Wrecker.
You know what's so cool is what's cool about that announcement, Bramy, is we actually saw all of these figures in person.
That's right.
Right? But they all had their helmets on.
Yeah.
And now we got to see the facial features, which is pretty freaking cool. Like,
Yeah, I kind of wish that the tech looked a little more like you though, Joe. it feels weird to see Tech and him not look like
It-
D.
I mean,
I swear,
He does
I
look
feel
like
like
D.
I feel like
Looks
all
like
the
D.
all the Hot Toys faces look like a variation of Tamora Morrison.
They
Except
do.
for Tech, I feel like that one looks like D Baker.
It looks like
totally
D.
he totally does.
They got D and Tamora, and they just said, "There
Yeah.
you go."
Yeah, they used one of those apps.
D was
that
probably like,
blended their
just give me
face together.
Tech.
I'm pretty sure that Hot Toys was listening to our holiday special episode when D said that he's most like Tech.
Yeah.
More than likely.
Facts.
Moving on down through the news. So it's tangential, but somewhat relevant. So Adam Driver's got a new movie coming out.
I want to
It's
see that.
called 65. It actually looks pretty good. He was doing an interview for comicbook.com, and he was asked like which one was more immersive between the kind of the on-set experience between Star Wars and 65. So here's what he had to say. He says, well, I mean, Star Wars is different because even though there's a lot of green screen, they build a lot of the sets. So they did a good job in keeping it really practical. So it's easy to suspend disbelief. In 65, we did a lot of stuff everywhere that was really beautiful, but in particular, we're in New Orleans and the swamp adds another level of immersion. To perhaps tie things to Star Wars in an unexpected way, Driver continued by describing some of the bizarre wildlife that existed where they shot 65. And he goes on, I'm not going to read it all because it's kind of long, but he goes on to talk about there's this type of rat that makes a sound like a child crying. So he's like, we're out there filming at like 2 a.m. and you just hear this sound out in the abyss and it just sounds like you're on another planet. So he said that like that actually helped, but it made him think of Star Wars and like the weird creature sounds that are there, but it also really helped him sort of detach himself from Earth and put himself in this alien environment, even though it was actually, I think, Earth anyways. But
Dude, I'm waiting for Chris Pratt to cameo because it's going to be basically Jurassic and Kylo, you know. But, I'm down.
Right. So you know that intro that they play at the beginning of all of the shows that's got like it flashes the different characters and they're sort of like metallic looking and it's kind of the new little Star Wars looking intro.
The one with Crosshair in it?
helmets.
Yeah, it's sick.
Yeah. Do you guys notice anything different about that lately? They actually they swapped out some of the characters, and I think they actually do this a lot. They change it around depending on what it is. However,
They do it based on the show, I think. yeah.
However, this is the first. We're now seeing one for the first time that doesn't have any sequel trilogy stuff in it at all. So the predominantly used one up until now showed in this order, I think, Vader, BB-8, C-3PO, Kylo, R2-D2, a pilot, a biker scout, Phasma, and then the Mandalorian. Now, and there's slightly zoomed out versions of them, so you see a little more detail. It's not quite so close up, but we still have Vader, but then R2-D2 instead of BB-8, Fennec Shand, a TIE pilot, Bo-Katan, IG-11, I'll say. Hard to say if it's 11 or 88, but then the biker scout again in the same spot, the armor instead of Phasma, and then Din again at the end.
Depends on
So
the show for sure. Because Bad
interesting.
Batch, I was just looking at it.
Interesting. Yeah, and I have seen there is a variation. I think the Bad Batch one does show Bad Batch characters. But again, I think this is the first time that we've seen one without any sequel era stuff at all.
I did have to pause it last week, and I got schooled by my little kid because I had to pause it on the Fennec Shand helmet, and I couldn't tell what it was. And I was literally taking a picture of it with my phone, and I was going to send it to John and say, "Oh my God, is this Darth Revan?" And as I'm texting this to John, my kid's like, "Dad, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I don't know whose helmet this is." And he's like, It's Boba Fett's girlfriend, duh." And I was like, "Oh my God, I felt so stupid." I was like, "Oh yeah, all right."
Oh man,
That's great.
So, and then that's
oh my god.
and the last little bit of news that I've got. So, and speaking of sequel era stuff, however, so speaking with Movie TV, Jon Favreau was talking, and he said he had something interesting to say about some of the stories that are being looked at and the time period that they take place in. So he says there's definitely a conversation that's going on, and then also what happens after the sequel trilogy, because the sequel trilogy only takes place over the course of a few years, and it's a big thing on the screen. and it's very eventful, but it's a relatively brief moment in history over the course of the thousands of years that Star Wars takes place. And so what happens after it is interesting too. And I know that there's some exploration going on about what happens after it. So I think that there are certain markers that we have. It's almost like studying ancient history, where you kind of know a few things that happen, but there's a lot of murkiness in between. And we just don't have archaeological evidence in the real world to know exactly what happened. So we kind of connect the dots. So a little cryptic, but he is hinting that there are conversations going on about content that could be taking place post sequel trilogy. So, which ties into some of the stuff that we've heard as well. So it'll be interesting. I can't wait till we start to get some of these reveals, hopefully at Celebration. So I'm hearing that there's some news that we're going to be getting about something like that.
It always matters with who's involved, right? Like if it's Filoni, Favreau, they're kind of like trusted, from the fans, and if their handprints on it,
exactly.
Well, it depends.
The golden touch,
because
they have the magic ingredients. Like they are the ingredients. Anything they do is amazing.
What were we gonna say, John?
I was gonna say Andor was a huge risk, and it was successful because that was someone that wasn't really a Star Wars person, So it just depends.
True.
Because sometimes if you give it to Filoni and Favreau, it's going to be rad. But sometimes there's new people that come in and they just blow you away too. So
I think Filoni and Favreau definitely have their finger on the pulse of what the fans want to see. I think what's interesting is when you've got somebody else that comes in from outside that brings us something that we didn't even know we wanted until we see it. And then that just expands the universe even more.
Correctamundo.
Yes.
I just noticed John's mustache is gone.
It is.
Dude,
it is.
It shifted over screens to you. Like
it went.
Yeah.
Did somebody smack John so hard it flew across the country and landed?
I heard John talking and I looked down and I'm all, who is that guy?
Who's this kid?
So
it's like 24 years old, man. It's 24-year-old John.
Yeah.
One other piece of news that we can talk about. No, it's okay. One other piece of news we could talk about, and I don't have this up in front of me. I know that we were talking about it on and off during the week, and it just didn't make it into my notes because I was kind of collecting a little more info on this. But we've got some rumors around some shuffling of the deck around some of the feature work that we know Lucasfilm had been talking about, including the Rogue Squadron film. That was going to be helmed by the Wonder Woman director and writer, but I don't have it up in front. And I know Steven, I know you had been talking about this the other day. So do you want to dig into this one a little bit?
Well, no, it kind of ties in with what you were just talking about with the Favreau and Filoni thing. Is that Variety reported that the Kevin Feige movie and the Patty Jenkins movie are both no longer in production.
And what was interesting about that is it said that it was official, and yet I haven't seen anything actually come out of Lucasfilm on that. Yeah. So it's kind of why I was digging still.
But they did say that the Taika Waititi movie, he actually wants to star in it now. So yeah,
I don't know how I feel about that.
For what you will. But I mean,
he can be an Angelin.
Hey. I mean, if I know Lucasfilm was really trying to end that Skywalker saga. So, I mean, if they want to do another trilogy of movies that are tied to the Mandoverse, I'm down. Or if Filoni and Favreau want to explore whatever's in the rest of the galaxy going on at that time, I'm down.
Where would you guys point them? If you had, okay, here we go. If you had the ability to point Favreau and Filoni in a direction of Star Wars to create story, to fill gaps, whatever it is, where would you point them?
Thrawn trilogy. Just don't make it a TV series. Just give me 3 movies of the Thrawn trilogy.
So I think that's that one. I feel like they need to do that with in conjunction with the show. So we know that there's a Thrawn tie into the Ahsoka show, but what I'm hoping is like they make him sort of the Thanos and tie it in. Like, so
Dang.
over the course of a couple years, they can thread him into Ahsoka, Mando, Skeleton Crew, and then give us a feature film.
Would it be before before Rebels or wherever Ezra goes? Like, would it be tie into the show, like after?
It could be before. There's a comic.
It could be all of it.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying, because like the Ghost crew, the Rebels crew, Ahsoka, Mando, all them, they can deal with Thrawn on the Disney Plus series, right?
Right.
But then Han, Luke, and Leia and the New Republic, they can deal with Thrawn in
another way,
in a movie, in like a trilogy of movies or whatever.
That'd be,
and it doesn't have to be Han, Luke, and Leia. I mean, they could adapt the Thrawn trilogy books with, I guess, other characters. Because I just said to get away from the Skywalker saga, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Dude, you said that so fast. You were like, "Oh, you've already thought of this." Like,
dude, I've been thinking about that since like the 90s.
I want to see more of the sequels. But
like First
Order, not necessarily. Yeah, just that. I mean, is it all gone? Is it like all of it? Like
pretty much.
It's a time period that's just kind of blank right now, but because we're getting a lot of everything else.
You know what I would do? Knights of the Old Republic, or Shadows of the Empire. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Get us some Dash Rendar canon action going on. Yep,
nice.
Prince Caesar. Yep.
You know who needs to be the director?
I either want to see Revan. What?
You know who needs to be the director of that?
Who?
I can't think of his name. Lord of the Rings.
Fantastic.
Man,
Thank
you're
you.
old.
Wow. Peter Jackson?
Oh, dad moment.
Peter Jackson.
Dude,
come on.
Yeah. Well, I either want to see Keanu as Revan, which would be sick, or I want to see Shadows of the Empire. They can do a deep fake for Luke, and we can get some Dash Rendar.
Oh, we get Chewbacca with a flat top.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Who's your fan casting for Dash Rendar then, John?
Oh. I don't know. I haven't really thought about that. I'd pick Brian, actually.
with that glorious stash.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah. He's like a competitor of Han Solo's,
Actually,
another smuggler.
Another thing I want to see is, and I was so hoping that they were going to bring this into the Kenobi series, but I wanted one of the Inquisitors to be Sam Witwer. Starkiller.
Right. Yeah, that would have been a really nice tribute and make him canon as well.
That'd be really cool to see that part. Yeah.
The Apprentice.
I'd love focus on Vader, like a trilogy just on Vader. Just murdering stuff. That's all
you talking about blood. The prequels?
Just blood. Just slaughtering people. Ewoks, anything inside.
If they adapted some of his comics, it would be great, because there are some comics like that where he's just destroying people.
Dude, I rewatched Kenobi. So Kenobi was really good. I felt a little bit like, oh, that's it. I wish there was a little bit more. That's kind of how I felt when I first saw it. But I got to say, I downloaded all 6 episodes and watched it on my last flight from Boston to home. And I just watched it back to back to back like a movie. It watches so much better with no gaps.
I'm telling you, dude, and the Patterson cut, the one that I was telling you guys about.
Yeah, the flow is
that was really good.
The flow is so much better. I wish. Obviously, the series came out for a reason. Disney knows what they're doing. They're trying to make a lot of cash, and they're doing it. But for a theater, it would have been really cool to see in one big shot, one big swath, and just watching Vader walk down that one village and just randomly picking people in the alley and murdering them. I'm like, it's not. This is almost. I'm going to sound like a psychopath right now, but there's something kind of cool about that. I don't know. Like I should.
Oh yeah, it's like the Michael Myers or the Halloween of Darth Vader, right?
But I don't cheer for Mike Myers. I want I cheer for everybody else.
It's
Vader,
like absolute authority,
Yeah.
Vader, it's like, and then I see this tortured.
Dude,
Anakin
he's just
inside.
snapping necks, like
dude, just
left and right.
He's just
So brutal.
Snapping necks and cashing checks.
Republic credits.
That is it for the news.
Where were we?
Damn, we went sideways.
So hey Brian, before we get into the next segment,
Yeah.
you know how you're always like complaining about Dave Filoni talking about hope?
Mm-hmm.
So for this week's episode, I took the time and I made you a little something new.
An Imperial's been sent to evaluate the clones. Everybody's talking about it. What kind of evaluation?
Hopefully not mentally. Clearly, we'd never pass that.
What was that?
What was that? Wow.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
That was
All right, guys.
That was like one of those videos where like the guy's like, "Oh, I made this beautiful melody and I added it to the song," and then he just starts like mashing on the guitar. And it's just like, ah.
All right, guys, this is our episode review of The Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 12, titled The Outpost, with a runtime of 32 minutes. This episode was directed by Nathaniel Villanueva and showrunner Brad Rao. This episode was also written by Jennifer Corbett. A new friend is made on a harsh and unforgiving outpost planet. I got to start off by saying Crosshair is back. He is being briefed on a new mission by Lieutenant Nolan. He obviously hates clones. He calls them used equipment.
That was a funny line.
This guy was just, from the minute he appeared on screen, I wanted to slap him, right?
More than slap.
Well, he's pretty much outranked by everyone, even though he's in charge, right?
Right.
Our clones land on Barton 4. We see droids moving cargo, and there's only 3 clones left. We're introduced to Mayday, and the clones say they've waited 36 rotations since they made a distress call for help. And when he says this, he still gets attitude from Lieutenant Nolan. Again, I wanted to slap this guy. What did you guys think about the banter going on between Nolan and Mayday?
Loved Mayday.
Mayday's clearly not having it.
Commander, right? He says it's Commander.
Commander.
Mayday?
Yep. How many missions have you commanded?
And by the way, Mayday's look is awesome.
Dude,
Yeah.
I thought of Moon Knight.
Yeah.
All the rest.
Straight up Moon Knight,
yeah.
bro.
Kind of looks like a mummy.
Moon Knight, but he's frozen. He's chilling.
There you
Real
go.
Chilly.
Chili Moon Knight.
I was
We're introduced to Mayday with they've only got a few clones left. He says that his squad is all dead because of raiders. So they've been getting raided by locals. And as they're talking about this, the raiders, they actually attack the base and they blow up the lieutenant's ship. Crosshair is blinded by this, and he sort of misses his kill shot, but he still chases the raider into a cavern where he meets up with Mayday. Then we proceed to see 2 more clones die that belong to Mayday's company. And as Mayday and Crosshair are sort of standing there trying to pay their respects to these, fallen brothers, these fallen clones, Lieutenant Nolan walks in again and starts berating them for just standing around. He then sends Crosshair and Mayday to go out into the snow, find the lost cargo. Navigating through the ice caverns, Crosshair steps on a landmine. This was like my favorite part of the episode, I think, except for the end, which we'll get to in a moment. But so they're navigating through the ice caverns. Crosshair steps on a landmine, which I don't think this would ever happen to Crosshair. This was like I think this is like a plot device to kind of,
Yeah, they did that forcefully.
right? I mean, do you guys ever
Crosshair
think
wouldn't have stepped on one.
Crosshair would not have done this?
No.
What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, he did. He kind of did a few things in this where it was like he misses a shot. That explosion like blinded him that bad. The landmine.
Well, he had the thing down, you know.
Technically, he didn't miss that shot, but it wasn't a kill.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It
was ketchup on the ground.
But I do get that. It was a bonding moment for him and Mayday. It was very sweet.
Yeah. So, I mean, Mayday is essentially, he's like fixing this landmine for Crosshair. And while he's, trying to disarm it, he's, I guess, making small talk to kind of try and calm the situation, down.
Distract him a bit.
And he asks Crosshair, so what unit are you from? And right there, I was just like, I started getting the tension. I could feel what Crosshair was feeling, and he's like, Clone Force 99. And then he tells, Mayday, Mayday asks what happened to him. And there's like the slight hesitation from Crosshair. And you think he's going to say they're all dead, but then he says they're all
gone. Yep.
And I was just like, oh. Right there, I could feel it. I could feel Crosshair was just like, he started missing him more and more. I mean, you got all these clones that just died. This guy lost his whole unit. Mayday and Crosshair are kind of like two sides of the same coin at this point.
And Mayday took him in like no questions asked, essentially. Like,
yeah,
what's your name? You're cool. All right, welcome aboard. Yeah, exactly. And 100%. I think he was feeling that camaraderie. And they were bonding throughout the episode.
Well,
right. Well, that he'd been missing since his brothers have been gone.
It started earlier too when he was like, "Oh, CT-9904." He's like, or what did he say? Like, or what else do you like to go by? Or what's your name? He's like,
"Oh yeah, what's your call sign?"
He thought about it for a second, and then he was
slight
like,
hesitation.
He's like, should I trust him? Should I,
Because he could have said, "What does it matter?"
Yeah.
He could have been a douche, but
none of your business.
No one in the Empire calls him Crosshair.
Oh, that's
they call
true.
him CT-9904. 9904. So
only his bros call him Crosshair.
Yep.
Yeah.
So Mayday frees Crosshair from the landmine. They proceed through the ice cavern. They come across the raiders in the mountains. They take them out easily. I mean, these guys are just, I kind of felt like for Crosshair, it was just like the good old days, right? Just taken out back to back. He blows up the other landmines in front of these raiders. Turns out the cargo that they've been stealing, the cargo that these clones have been sacrificing their lives for, is the good stuff. Stormtrooper armor.
Yeah.
And so style. Mayday and Crosshair are just taken aback, to say the least, at what they've been protecting. Avalanche falls. They're running away from the snow. Mayday pushes Crosshair out of the way, essentially saving his life.
Yeah.
When they wake up, Crosshair struggles and crawls back to Mayday.
He still got buried.
He still got buried.
I thought,
but he was about to hit that rock. He was about to hit that rock, and Mayday pushed him. I think. Wait, is that what you guys saw?
Yeah.
I think he pushed him so he could be on the other side. Yeah.
Yeah.
When the snow buried
it goes over him.
The snow buried him.
Completely covered him.
This is it. This is it. Keep going.
You were on edge the whole episode, like every moment. This is it.
Dude,
just blows up over there. This is it.
Just paint Imperial Crosshair in like a light blue icicle kind of vibe. Put some powderish material all over. Like
we'll get a couple cans of that Christmas tree like spray on snow. And we'll flock you. We'll do that. We'll bring that to London, and like right before we go out, we'll flock you, and you can just go out covered in snow.
Hey, Brian, just turn around.
I'm down with that. Actually, that sounds good.
You don't even have to paint your kit; just leave it white.
Oh, we need somebody with just a clone grunt that we can like put the wraps on. Have them bring that. We'll flock Brian, and they can just like limp through Celebration.
Dude, just bring a roll of toilet paper, and the first time we see a Celebration, just freaking, they don't have a choice. We're gonna do it. Remember being high schoolers and just freaking toilet paper in a house? We're gonna do that to a clone.
Yeah,
stand by, London.
That's pretty much it.
All right,
stand by, London.
Right on.
Now, what Crosshair does next, which I think was very out of his character, he takes his helmet off and he gives it to Mayday to help him breathe. I've never seen a sacrificial gesture come from Crosshair until now. And at this point, this is when I was like, okay, this is when the redemption is starting. Because he can feel one thing. Yeah, he like feeling one thing is feeling something of redemption is one thing, but this is the first action that he's taking.
Doing it.
He carries
especially
him
when
all the way.
When you go back to earlier too, when he talked about, oh, I don't want to be left with you, because he was basically made the comment about just leaving him behind.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Here he was.
Don't let me die under your watch.
Contemplating it. Yeah.
So we see Crosshair carry Mayday back to the base. I think they spent overnight in snow. I'm surprised Crosshair didn't die from exposure, but Crosshair carries Mayday all the way back to the base. Nolan tells all the other stormtroopers to get back to work as they watch, and Mayday is dying before him while Crosshair is begging for a medic. Nolan says, clones are a waste of the Empire's resources, and Mayday dies. Nolan tells Crosshair, get back to work because clones are expendable. Crosshair is on his knees, looks up to the sky, sees the ice vulture circling, which, fun fact, was voiced by D. Baker.
Also Eagly.
Crosshair puts two and two together, and because he doesn't have a chip in his brain, shoots Lieutenant Nolan point blank, passes out, wakes up on Mount Tantus, where we see, in my opinion, is the female tech. And
I have a family. It's no big deal.
And the episode ends there.
I have a theory.
His bitch ass.
So what if they're cloning? What if they clone him to make the Death Troopers?
Ooh. Maybe.
He already looks. I mean, they already look like him.
They're
tall. They're skinny. They've got the black and green.
I totally got Death Trooper vibes when Crosshair put the flashlight at the end of Fire Puncher. I mean, it looked just like a Death Trooper rifle.
Damn, that's a cool idea.
I'm just saying.
And aren't Death Troopers lobotomized?
They're supposedly very like chemically
robotic.
Enhanced. They're enhanced in some way for sure.
They're taller, right? They're different stature altogether, right?
As is Crosshair.
Big dudes.
As is Crosshair.
I don't think he's that tall.
He always comes across as kind of tall and thin, just like the Death Troopers.
Brian, what you got?
If we are calling that lady tech, then we successfully did not make it through an episode without tech.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, God.
What is the problem? I don't see any problem whatsoever.
Which I was about to say, like, the best part about this episode is tech wasn't in it.
I'm about to drink some tech right now. Hold on.
Okay, so Brian, I'm anxious. I'm eager to hear what you have to say about your boy, man. We've waited.
I mean,
we've waited 9 episodes to see him, and he's back.
So I'm on a work trip, and I woke up super early this morning, and I've been driving all day, and I messaged you guys because I'm on like country roads, like there's like no one around. So I was like, I put it on my phone and I was like checking it out, and it was like the opening scene of him, and I was just like, yes,
Finally.
okay, we're getting a Crosshair episode. Thank you. Um, and but needless to say, he was a little sad in the first scene. He looked a little. He was like, all pouting.
Yeah, dude, he's seeing all his clone brothers like get retired.
Yeah, but I mean, it started off like right away. I got to be quiet too. Sorry, but it started off right away with that feeling of, okay, this is the episode. This is it. This is where he's sitting here going,
oh,
like we're done.
Froze.
Like
This is
officer.
He
lady
literally
walking
started
by
talking about the
like,
thing he's
yeah,
here to
you're
talk
retired.
about,
We're
and
done.
froze.
We don't need you anymore. You need to move on, right? She's telling the other clones that.
You there, buddy?
That was, I mean, it started from the beginning, and then yes, I don't have another word for him, but bitch boy. So you're gonna have to just keep beeping that out. But when that dude rolls in and just is like, "Why is your helmet not on? You know, what? Are you, why? You know, why aren't you giving me attention and doing
Out
this
of
thing?"
uniform.
And Crosshair's like, putting his helmet on, and he's just kind of like, "Really? I got to answer to this guy?" And I love the scene when they get in the ship and they get out, and the clone like bumps him, like shoulder checks him. The lieutenant, he's a lieutenant, right? That one?
Yeah.
Nolan.
And he shoulder checks him. I thought that scene was super awesome. It drove me nuts to go back to when I'm watching the episode, you know, half paying attention while I'm driving, because it was early in the morning. I was driving up and I'm driving east. I'm like looking into the sun, so I couldn't. The scene, the whole middle part was black, and I'm like watching it now finally where I can see, and it was just driving me crazy because I couldn't see it. So I was just listening. I had no idea what was going on. I was just like, oh, I need to know what's going on. You guys are going to start messaging and going crazy. But what were the birds? What did you say they were?
Ice vultures.
I'm still trying to figure out like what the significance is. Because definitely at the end he was just so fixated on them.
You know what?
They eat the corpses.
That's what exactly. I think he looked up and he saw what do you call it? You know, they're disposable, right? The whole idea that hey, you're just there, you're gonna die.
That's why he said just leave him there and get back to work, because he knows the vultures are going to come down and just take care of it.
Clean them up.
Probably.
Yeah, they're just there. They're disposable. Yeah.
Yeah, it's trash.
I think that was the nail in the coffin.
I mean, that episode just kept having point. I mean, when him and Mayday were like kind of storming that little village, that was super awesome. Just kind of like seeing him get to doing Crosshair things, just being Crosshair, which is super cool. But I mean, all these moments, and we've kind of touched on them too. It's these moments of reflection where he's just going, "What am I doing? I'm a clone. Like, these guys are my brothers. These are who I know." I thought it was, the writing on this episode was cool, not just because it was Crosshair.
Do you remember the language that he was using when he on the last episode of season 1 when he's talking to his brothers, and he's trying to convince Hunter and Echo and everybody, hey, we have a place in the Empire. Why? Because we're superior. That's why they want us. We have more work to do. Like they know who we are. Good. He was so brainwashed by that philosophy, and to see it totally unravel, where basically he's just standing by waiting for a job. Like nobody's going to him, running to him. Hey, we need you to do this really incredible mission. No, we need you to go guard some freaking crates. Like
some armor for your replacements.
So there's certain duty and jobs in the military that are just like, you know, there's some really cool missions and there's really, really, really cool jobs. And then there's supply. Hey, go to the supply depot and stand guard. Dude, like if you're a senior guy like really senior and really like dialed in, and you're asked to do that, something is terribly wrong, right?
Something ain't right.
He
Something
literally
ain't right.
saw the vultures circling at that point.
Literally.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, guys, what do you think the outcome is going to be for Crosshair? Let's say this: best outcome,
worst outcome,
worst outcome.
Best outcome: he breaks out and somehow reunites with the boys and Omega. Worst: they use his DNA for something and then just discard him. Right? That'd be bad.
That'd be really bad.
Just dead. Suck his life force out. Sorry.
I still think Plan 99 is the rescue mission to get him out.
I wouldn't doubt if we don't see Crosshair next episode and it flashes now to Delta or whoever, Scorch, trying to find the Bad Batch, and then they realize, oh, wait, Omega's with them. We need to get them all. Like, I think that's going to be probably the focus moving forward. It better not be another Sid mission. I'm telling you what.
I think you guys know that I have a guest writing credit on the show, right? So I can tell you what happens next.
Okay.
So Cad Bane's gonna come back.
There you go.
And he's gonna obtain Omega again to take her back to the cloners at Mount Tantus. And then the rest of the batch are gonna call up Rex and Echo, and they'll be like, "We gotta get our girl. We gotta go get her back." And then when they come, when they go rescue Omega, they'll be like, "Oh, hey, what's up, Crosshair? Come on, let's go!" Dun, 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 dun. Everyone's happy.
I was gonna say that whole thing except for the Cad Bane thing. So that's a nice plot twist.
And then there you go, John. You'll get your rematch with Cad, and there you go.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Then Hunter,
I want him to win too.
Then Hunter can pull out Cad Bane's toothpick and hand it over to Crosshair with
I'd be like,
with his drool on it, still saying Crosshair.
Oh, wait, and then there's a moment when like Cad Bane is gonna shoot Omega, but then Crosshair jumps in front of Omega. But then when you think Crosshair is gonna die, then Tech jumps in front of Crosshair.
Nope. But then it hits his computer, and now he's down a computer. But he reaches into his pocket and pulls out another. The end.
Oh man, you know what? It's cool that I kind of, when they first showed Mayday, I had this like vision of him being some other long lost clone that we've forgotten about. You know, that's like, oh my god, it's Wolf or like, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
But he was an important part of this. He's who reminded Crosshair of who he is. It was cool. We got to convince Luke to make a Mayday. He can be our Mayday.
There you go.
Aww, he's your Mayday. That's sweet. All right, guys.
10 out of 10 this episode.
Yeah, good episode.
Thank you for not killing him in Avalanche.
But daddy is a state of mind, you know what I'm saying? I'm your daddy.
All right, guys. Now we are on to our episode breakdown of The Mandalorian Season 3, Chapter 18, The Mines of Mandalore. With a runtime of 45 minutes, this episode was directed by Rachel Morrison, a new director for Mando, written by Jon Favreau, of course, with a description: The Mandalorian and Grogu explore the ruin of a destroyed planet. So our breakdowns are a little bit different than our episode reviews. Breakdowns, we'll just do it like last week. I'll go through bullet points and then you guys can discuss. So we open the episode on Tatooine. There are Bunta Eve pod races going on. And we've got a Rodian whose speeder has been stripped apart, goes to Pelimoto to fix it, but it turns out Peli and the Jawas are the ones who stripped it. Mando drops in, and he's looking for an IG memory circuit. Peli says, look, Grandpa, they don't make those since the Empire. And then Peli convinces Mando to buy R5-D4 at half price. And we see R5 is clearly scared. Now, I gotta say, Raimi, do you know the story, or can you educate us on the story of R5-D4? Because I know he has a history, right?
So I mean, that's the droid that had the
bad
motivator from A New Hope. So like when they've got the Jawas have the droids lined up and Uncle Owen is going down and picking out the droids, he picks C-3PO and he picks R5 and not R2-D2. And as R5 is starting to roll out, he blows that motivator and looks like Uncle Owen, this one's got a bad motivator. And then C-3PO like gets R2, points out R2, and then he buys him instead. So we see that one. And now there's some books that actually go, this is what you wanted. There's some books that go into this. So in the certain point of view books, there's one for A New Hope and there's one for Empire Strikes Back. And God, I hope this year we get one for Return of the Jedi, because these are just great. So these books are like the characters that are just off screen. So, if you want a story about like from the point of view of the Dianoga that's in the trash compactor or what, like there's stories for all these. So one of them is about a conversation that R2 and R5 have as they're in the Jawa transport, and R2 basically convinces R5 that he has to do his duty to the rebellion, and he's actually going to be like saving. And so R5 actually blows that motivator on purpose to get R2 to stay with 3PO and be able to continue on. So if those books are part of the canon, R5 was doing his part to help there,
thus creating the meet between R2 and Luke. So really, R5 saved the galaxy. He's the hero, right?
That's how I see it. Yeah, exactly. So and now he's back, and I think they've all but said straight up like this is the same R5. So R5-D4. The weathering details that you see, like where the oil would have leaked out of him from the motivator explosion, stuff like it's all still there. So
yeah, that was.
But he got an oil bath.
Sure. He was super clean. He looked great.
Yeah, it's good as new at half price.
All right, so we get the opening title sequence, and then we see Mando flying to Mandalore. He's showing Grogu the planets in the system, including where he was raised on Concordia.
That was cool.
That was cool, right? And then he's talking about how he's actually never been to Mandalore proper. And let's see, they land on the planet. Mando sends R5 to get an air sample. R5 just isn't having it, but Mando's like, I'm not asking.
Get out there.
So we see R5 try and get the air sample. He disappears. So Mando pressurizes his helmet, which I don't think they've mentioned that yet. This is the first time we saw Mando, a Mandalorian.
A little Darth Vader-y.
Right? And yeah, he had the breathing sounds going on.
Right.
So he goes after R5. He's attacked by Elamites, so Elamites, this is like a new thing that we haven't seen before in Star Wars, right? I was getting major like McQuarrie vibes off
Slee
the
stacks,
design.
man. You guys remember Land of Lost and the Slee stacks? That's before your time.
I remember them, Joe.
Yeah, dude.
So I was trying to do some research on these Elamites.
You're right.
Twitter's been saying that they're homage to the Morlocks from the 60s movie The Time Machine.
That's it. Yes.
I haven't seen it, but
dude, it's an old, so people my age, really, really old people would know that vintage movie.
Mm-hmm.
And there's these creatures that live underground, sort of, and so he goes back in time. Or actually, does he go in the future, or is it back in time? It might be in the future.
The time machine?
In the time machine. And these very similar creatures, very similar.
Well, it would make sense because it looks like Mandalore is like stuck in the past.
All post-apocalyptic.
Right? Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
It looks like the Blade Runner scenario, like all destroyed, sort of futuristic, but destroyed. What?
And so during this fight that Mando's having with the Alamites, we see him whip out the Darksaber, and he still can't use that thing.
It's like in his hands, that thing must be like a sledgehammer. He just can't swing that gracefully to save his life.
He just ends up pulling
Especially
out
when later on in the episode it happens.
he just reverts back to his vibroblade and punching.
Have you noticed the way he fights? And I think it's done on purpose. I'm not saying anything about the acting. I think he's doesn't have finesse when he fights. And what I mean by that is if you watch the other Mandalorians when they fight and their style of fighting, he's very scrappy, almost like he was probably as a youngling kind of on his own at some point, just figuring it out.
It feels like he's not very like he's good, but he's not great. And
he's
good.
Like
when you compare him to someone like Bo-Katan, like if you see Bo though, Bo came and handled every single one, did everything,
she
crushed that monster mechanical.
But even before she used the Darksaber, dude, she was like using all the weapons the right way. She's just.
I think you're onto something, Joe, because like we were talking about last week with Brendan Wayne being the gunslinger, Lateef is known as the brawler,
right?
On Mando. So perhaps that's even just his fighting style is like a brawler, right? Like a knuckle boxer. Like,
yeah, but I almost think it's done on purpose though. Like I don't want to make say anything negative against the acting because I think what we're seeing is what we're supposed to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's different styles of fighting. There's different. And Brian, you guys, all you guys that fight or roll, or anybody that's listening, there's technique. And then there's some without technique, but they're still like badasses, right? They're still like rough. And it's almost like Din is more on that side and Bo is more refined and trained and graceful and movement.
Experienced.
Yeah. But Din is still lethal, obviously, right? But she has to.
He's
right.
He's a bounty hunter. He does whatever. He did whatever it took to just bring in the bounty. Okay.
Technically, he should have died a bunch of times already. Right?
Yeah.
Right. That's the difference.
So we see Mando wrap up this fight with the with the Morlocks. Mando gets. It turns out that the air is actually safe to breathe. It's not poisoned. Mando then proceeds to go back into the mines with Grogu, where he finds a Mando helmet, but he gets captured by a creature, droid, robot. I was getting major General Grievous vibes off of this thing.
Yeah,
dude, isn't he like the Jedi from The Force Unleashed? The Jedi called Kazdan Paratus. He's an Alina. He has the same type of like he's like a living being, but he has this apparatus where it's sort of like a spider, like what we saw on there. And I don't think it's the same thing, but it looks like something very very similar.
That's a deep cut.
I don't know if any of you guys. Yeah, I don't know if you guys played that game, but he was one of the Jedi you're supposed to go hunt as you're playing a Starkiller. And
I don't know. That thing was disgusting.
Yeah.
He looked like the thing from Transformers. There's like a robot that looked like him.
Oh,
he's all skinny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we see the Lassie moment when he says, "Lassie, go get help, boy. Go to Bo-Katan and get help."
Yeah.
Dude, he knew exactly what to do. It was cool.
And he did.
He's teaching him how to navigate. Like he's giving him lessons of how to be a Mandalorian.
He was telling him, "That's Concordia.
And,
that's this."
Luckily, we had a droid that knew how to fly because Grogu would have just been sitting in the pod, like What do I do now? But he knew exactly what to do.
Yeah, and then he was like, all I was missing was just Bo-Katan. What's that? What's that, Grogu? Din stuck in a well?
What's that, boy? Yeah.
And he's just making sounds, this cute sounds that he does.
But did you guys? Okay, do you guys hear this? This is like somebody had posted this, but Grogu has a word that he says in everything.
Is it bubble or bubble?
What's the word though? Is it?
It's Patu. Patu.
Patu. Yeah.
Patu.
He says it more than once.
Yeah, he said it in season 1 or last season.
Patu.
And he said it again.
Is that what Pelly thought he said too? Or
well, she thought he said her name.
Her name, yeah.
Right. But that might have been the word.
Speaking of the droid, Joe, where the heck would Din have put IG-11?
Dude. The only thing I could think of the only thing I could think of is like an undercarriage. You know, like I don't know if the N1 has a mode to strap on like an extra tank or fuel tank or a bomb or something.
He just bungee cords him to the bottom.
It's Superman mode.
Yeah, going light speed on the outside.
Meanwhile, he's like just shooting
Ripped
stuff,
to shreds.
asteroids. That'd be kind of cool.
He's got like hood ornament mode where he's just on the front.
There you go.
All right, so we see Bo-Katan. She gets into the gauntlet, which that ship taking off and landing was just beautiful.
So sick. Sick. Yeah.
She goes back for Din. Grogu takes her to the same spot. They go the same way again. She attacks. She pushes Grogu out of the way because she's gonna attack these Alamites. Totally cleans up.
She sees something when you don't see anything. She senses it, right?
Yeah.
That sequence with her going down that corridor was just fire.
Awesome.
So good. Like that was the good guy equivalent of Vader's hallway scene in Rogue One. Like her just going down that hallway, just perfect.
That's
and
a great
like she had
analogy.
the shield on her gauntlet. We got to see that for the first time. I want to.
That was sweet.
I'm gonna make that thing. I don't have a Bo-Katan, but I'm gonna make that thing because I want to make it. Gonna science the heck.
Paz uses it, right? He uses it against Din.
That's
he
true.
does.
Yeah, he's got one.
I've seen someone with it before, like a light up acrylic thing.
Yeah, that's what it would have
the
to
Doctor
be.
Strange thing. Yeah.
So after Bo totally cleans up, she begins to explain to Grogu what the Alamites are. And it turns out that they were surface dwellers back in the good old Mandalore days, but they stayed on the outskirts. So I was kind of like equating that to like, they're like the Tusken Raiders of Mandalore, you know?
Yeah.
Because they're clearly educated. They're an advanced species because they use weapons. They know how to attack.
Did you see what she said to Grogu? Specifically,
The generic standard. Well, yeah, she said, "What are you looking at?"
Well, no, like, did you think your dad? Dad
was the only.
She said, "Dad."
Yeah.
Right. Was the only one. Yeah, right. Like that was kind of cool.
And she said, your kid too. When he was like, how'd you, thanks for saving my life, And she was like, oh well, it's your kid. He's the one responsible. Yeah, she says it a bunch.
Okay, so then we see Bo-Katan is rescuing Din, uses the Darksaber to totally just whoop up on this droid.
Effortlessly compared to Din.
Pretty convincingly, yeah.
As if she's wielded it before.
Yeah.
Classic.
Which we've actually never seen her wield it before, and yet it has been in her possession, but we've never actually seen her do anything with it until this.
Yeah, the only time we've seen her is when she's like raising it in Rebels.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah. Literally.
But she had it.
Yeah, and she kicks ass.
She obviously had it in her possession for some time. At some point for a long time. Like, she obviously is familiar with it.
Yeah. Like in the Book of Boba Fett, the armorer is talking to Din about how like you can't fight it. You have to it's almost like a dance. You have to like flow with this thing. You have to connect with it. Din clearly hasn't mastered that, and yet for Bo it's effortless.
But that's what I mean.
So,
Like he's such a ruffian. He's a brawler.
Yes.
He's
the gunslinger and the brawler. Like we
no
said.
technique, right?
No technique. Just
Do you guys
freaking fisting it. But yeah, brute force
by the skin of his teeth.
The armorer obviously had, access to the mines, right? For the water and stuff. Back in the good old days. Do you guys think that maybe the armorer is the one who trained Bo on how to use it?
Oh,
maybe they have a past.
She could have been like the royal armor or something.
You mean
we see Bo kind of like have a conversation about her father and her life in the royal family, and it didn't sound like she really respected it too much. She respected that the people respected it, but she didn't really care for the title.
Yeah,
I don't know. I kind of feel like maybe the armorer is up to something. Like she's privy to some knowledge that we don't know.
Do you think she knows that Mandalore is habitable? Like those, she said the bads aren't there, nothing's there. But do you think she knows that?
I mean, she does kind of like dismiss Din in the other episode, right? In last week's when she's like, "This is the way."
Yeah, like good luck. I don't know. There's so much there, man. But
okay, so we see
I'm just here for Grogu.
What's that?
I'm just here for Grogu.
Dude, he's so cute, man. God dang, he's so adorable.
Grogu and Babu Frick.
Okay, so we see Bo take Grogu and Din to the mines. This is it. This is what Din has been preparing for. And she gives Din the full tour, and she reads the plaque that says, "These mines date back to the age of the first Mandalore. According to ancient folklore, the mines were once a mythosaur lair. Mandalore the Great is said to have tamed the mythical beast. It is from these legends that the skull signet was adopted and became the symbol of our planet." I want that plaque. I want that plaque so bad. I want to put that like on my front door.
And she's like, you can just hear her rolling her eyes as she's reading it. Like she doesn't buy it at all. Until
she's heard it her whole life. Yeah.
Until she starts to watch Din and sees the conviction in what he's doing and the belief that he has. And then you can tell, like, it's amazing the amount of emotions that can be conveyed with characters wearing helmets. And yet you can tell that she is sort of taken aback and like has respect, at least for his conviction with how he feels like. Cause
dude, it's going both ways.
Out,
it's going both ways though. The relationship between both of them and what they believe. Right. So because she's like, he actually comes to realization she was right. Right. Like this is he's remembering what she had spoken about, agreeing with her after seeing Mandalore. And then now she's seen him get in the water. And to your point, Raimi, like she's starting to witness somebody who really believes in this.
Yeah. Even if she doesn't believe it herself, she's at least respecting his convictions.
Cool.
Well,
yeah.
And not only that, she sees the mythosaur.
Okay, well, you're jumping the gun here, but
we're getting there.
So Mando walks in into the water, and okay, was Mando dropped? Did he fall in or was he pulled in?
I think it was pulled in like I think it was pulled in like the trash freaking dumpster from episode 4.
Because he just sank right all the way down to the bottom.
Yeah, he went boom boom swoop.
Well, the Beskar's heavy, so
that's true. The next thing we see is Bo rescues Din again. Jetpacks her way up, and on her way up, Bo sees the mythosaur and poops her pants.
Basically.
Okay, so what I like is how Din takes all his weapons out. He takes his cape off. He kind of like
ceremonious
stripped down to just the bare essentials, dips in the water. As soon as something pops off, Bo's just like straight in the water. Guns, jetpack, everything.
He's more like on the ceremony side, and she's more of like just jump to action.
Yeah.
He seemed kind of sorry during that whole thing too. He's just like, oh,
this was totally Bo's episode.
100% Bo's episode.
He recited his whole speech as he's walking out into the water. Hi for my transgressions. It's like she was looking at him like, really, dude? Like, grow a pair.
I thought it was rad to see that jetpack in water. Holy crap, that thing can
right?
move.
Sick.
That was cool.
So, are we going to see a mythosaur? Or what's next?
We got a glimpse of one, but what happens next?
Do you guys watch the opening preview? Like last week on The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see how they like telegraphed what the armorer was saying about the mythosaur? How the myth, like
there's always something like that,
right? Like to see the mythosaur again, or the return of the mythosaur, is supposed to be the rebirth of Mandalore or something,
right?
So
foreshadowing.
Knowing that, how will seeing the mythosaur motivate Bo-Katan's next move?
100%, dude. She's basically Han Solo. It's real, all of it. The Jedi, all of it. It's like, hey, I've seen too much now.
It's her moment.
Do you guys think that this is gonna like force her to try and get the Darksaber now?
I think so.
Yep.
But she knows that she can't just take it. She's gonna have to fight him.
Yep.
Or is that just another one of the myths that's going to get debunked as part, like
basically
all of these different sects, every single one of these different sects has these beliefs that are just a bunch of BS, right? Like it's just like, for as much as she rolls her eyes at Din as being a child of the Watch, she's got just as many things that's part of her like belief system that are just ingrained in what she was told. And I think that it's all going to get torn apart and everybody's just going to realize we're all just Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. This is the season we're going to find out that the Mandalorian, plural for the Mandalorian, is still the Mandalorian, and it's not just about him.
Or it's Grogu,
who's just
he is the Mandalorian.
Just as much the Mandalorian as anyone else in this show.
Because when Din's explaining stuff, he's like, he says it in a way that is inclusive. He's like, that's our people or whatever.
It's worth noting now that we've had 2 episodes. In each episode, there was an anointment ceremony that got interrupted. So neither one of them are completed yet. Like Ragnar's didn't get done. Din's didn't get done.
Well, that's actually what I was going to ask next. Do you think that Din completed his redemption?
Nope.
Because he went in the water.
He bathed.
Baptism is full submersion. Check in the box.
So
he went pretty deep.
Is he gonna go tell the armorer like, hey,
he went the extra mile.
Like Minnetonka, we're good.
He's like, I went 200 meters down. Like, come on.
He's got to prove it though. How does he prove it?
There's no picture.
He's got to prove it.
He's soaking
pictures or it didn't happen.
Yeah. He just like brings a little cup of water. He's like, here you go.
He's like, here it is. Yeah.
I don't know, but Grogu flipping around like a little Jedi is pretty epic.
Oh yeah, dude, his skills when he did that flip,
little front flips, yeah.
He did that force push against that slee stack. That was pretty cool.
Oh, and when he was in I always forget her name, the curly-haired lady's name.
Peli Motto.
Miss Moto.
Into her arms.
Yeah, that was super.
And then every time she speaks Jawa, I love it.
Dude, I like her character. I love that she's missing a tooth. She's so raspy. Like,
she's the best.
Scrappy.
I could go off with a spin-off show with her and Grogu.
So Bo-Katan talks about earlier in the episode, she talks about working with many Jedi in the past. Do you guys think we're going to see like a live action Clone Wars flashback? Maybe Duchess Satine and Obi-Wan there, or maybe
No. Not
in the
show.
budget.
Not in this show.
Not in the budget.
Not in this
Steven's
show.
gonna prove us all wrong. Watch,
He's like, well, here it is.
dude.
Well, let me
10
show
out
you
of
guys a
10
picture of
for
episode
episodes
3,
this week.
which includes a cameo from Ewan McGregor and. No,
Oh my gosh. What were you gonna say, Brian?
10 out of 10 this week with episodes,
Both of them.
Both of
and
us.
I've only watched on my stupid phone, so I can't wait to go home tomorrow and
Imagine, yeah. If those were good, imagine.
soak it in. And I need to get some serious Crosshair screenshots, so because he was in the light, full light, glorious light. Steven, your backdrop is sick too, by the way.
Oh,
Studio
thanks, man.
looks
You
sick.
missed the tour earlier. I gave the guys a tour of the new studio. Next week.
I'll watch it on
Missed it.
YouTube. Oh wait,
Oh, yeah, there you go.
It was on our private messenger.
Guys, that was a long episode. We got two shows. I don't know how much longer we can do 2 episodes every week. But I think that does it for us today, guys. Many of you have already ordered your Dad Batch family reunion shirt. Make sure you get yours today at thedadbatch.com. Wear it to our live panel at Star Wars Celebration London, or wear it to one of our other family reunion events that we will talk about very, very soon. You can follow me at stevie.kicks on Instagram, sometimes Twitter. Gentlemen, let the listeners know where they can find you. Joe.
Tech God, Bad Batch.
Raimi.
Thedadbatch.com.
John.
At Alpha Ignition.
And Brian.
at On the Road Again, at Grogu is adorable, at Crosshair Mercs, bitch boys.
All right. Thank you again, everybody, for listening to episode 31 of the Dad Batch podcast. Be sure to tune in next week for episode 32. And until next time, enjoy your spice responsibly.